We're live.
Good evening, everyone. Calling to order the special council meeting of April 22nd, 2026. I hope we are online.
We are.
It appears
Yes.
we are. We may have, for the moment, overcome our technical challenges of the last couple of meetings, and we will begin with calling the order.
Mr. Schmidt,
Here.
Ms. Swords, Mr. Modi.
Here.
Ms. Godek, Mr. LeMay.
Here.
Mr. Gentili, Colonel Rice.
Here.
All right, good evening, everyone. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We will first receive any audience comments that anyone has.
Richard Ferguson, 2920 Ridgedale Road. Regarding the agenda item 8, parking spaces requirement, parking lots, Pike. I have a concern about it. It says no vehicle may be parked or stored within a lot on any surface other than on an approved driveway, parking pad, or parking lot. On Pepper Pike, not all streets or roads are equal. They're varying widths. I live on Digsdale, and you can't park on the west side because the fire hydrants are there. And if you're having a tree service like Independent or Davy Tree coming in, they need to get up your driveway to do the work. If you're getting your roof redone, they need to put dumpsters, they need to occupy the driveway. If you're getting your asphalt driveway resurfaced at the end of the summer for winter, you can't park on it for a day or two. People in Edgedale park next to the driveway on the grass. It's not long-term. It's not like a company truck there or a car up a block, but it's just the convenience when the driveway's inaccessible. So the way this reads, they'd be in violation if they were parking in the grass next to the driveway. So I would vote that this would not be accepted by council.
Just so that everyone's clear as to what your concern is. You're discussing people who are pulling off, basically on the street, but pulling off to the side on the street during some temporary event going on at their home?
They're really pulling, a lot of them go, instead of long ways parallel to the road, they're parked in where either their front end or rear end sticking out, and they're parked the whole length of the car on their easement. But it's just a temporary situation because it's not that they're having a party. If they're having a party, people park in the street. But if their driveway is inaccessible, what does an owner do?
Okay, I understand your concern. Thank you.
And I have a second comment, if I could go back to last meeting, we got on the power, a power clean future Ohio community. My comment is, either the council or the administration could reach out to like Boy Scouts, the Eagle Scouts, or other high school students who are looking to get involved. It seems like that would have small, distinct projects that somebody like that could do, and if they were doing for the Eagle Scout project, it would be very useful. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other comments? Not hearing any, we'll move on to our committees. Mr. Schmidt, I believe, finance just.
Yes, we just had a meeting and reviewed the financials. Things still look very solid. We are still looking to see a new budget that council will need to approve. We also know that we're making great progress with the banking transition, and we talked about some other evaluations of the city's revenue sources. That's probably going to be more conversation about that.
Thank you. Did we have any other committees meet in the last week? I don't believe so. No. All right, we will move on then. We are moving on to a presentation by Mr. Paul Deutsch of Byerlowski regarding the City Hall programming. Oh, department heads, I missed you. I apologize.
Nothing new on my end.
Gentlemen, anything? That's why I moved on. As I was saying, Paul is here to talk about the needs and necessity analysis that he and his colleagues performed regarding programming development in the municipal campus schematic scheme. That has been distributed to council, so I hope you've been able to familiarize yourself with that. Before we kick off, I just want to set some context here before I invite Paul to lead his discussion. This Pepper Pike, founded in 1924, first conducted its business in a small farmhouse. It's right up Shaker Boulevard here, not too far from where we sit tonight. The original farmhouse was hauled off in the 1930s over to the school property, where it became a facility for the Orange School District. By then, the Orange Township had fractured into its parts, and the school district remained as that one unifying governmental entity for all the community. In early 1960s, pardon me, in 1954. In 1954, a city hall was built, the one that we're sitting in today. And it was led by, the opening ceremony was led by the mayor, Mayor Lewis, and other city officials who dressed in Williamsburg colonial attire to inaugurate the building. And that's pretty much where the building sits. The city hall portion sits today. Downstairs in what is our conference room near the building department, that's where our first responders office, our fire department, that was the first fire department in Pepper Pike. Was the police there also?
That was the police department.
Pardon me, Chief.
Yeah, and the fire department was the police department now.
That's right.
Yeah.
In 1960, what year was your department built? 60?
I think it was 7. I want to say it's
I had this written down in my office. I left it there, unfortunately. The police department was built and adjoined to this building, which changed rather dramatically the configuration of this building at that time. In 22, of course, we did our remodel, designed by Mr. Deutsch, of the police station. This building has remained pretty much the same. There's a photograph of the chief that he has in his office, Chief Teets, being sworn in. How many years ago, Chief? What year?
1999.
1999. Yeah. And the wallpaper behind him and all appearances of this room are identical. Nothing has changed.
I mean, it was perfected at that time.
That's right. Same green wallpaper, rarely dusted at least, all the way to the ceiling. The population of Pepper Pike in 1950, the census was around 850 people. By 53, 54, it's speculated that it had grown to about 1,200 people when this building was constructed. And by 1960, the census was just over 3,000. It is, that alone can't drive decisions to redo this building, but it does suggest that we don't have to apologize for improving this building either here in 2026. In 54, there were the beginnings of television being shared in this city. There were party lines for the telephones. Things have changed a lot. With that, I would welcome Mr. Deutsch to present the report of his analysis and what his recommendations are. Paul?
That was a good background to give first, because, as my dad would say about living with this, it really doesn't owe you anything. It's giving you a good life. And it's kind of, and as we started working on buildings and on this campus years ago, my first impression was the bones of all these buildings are good. And whatever we do, we should be working with, how can we work with what we have and not, just take something down and replace it completely. And so, as the mayor mentioned, we finished a few years ago renovating the police station. We learned a lot about this building doing that. And
Talk a little bit louder.
okay, yeah, sure.
And one other thing, do you have a microphone in front of you?
No,
Colonel,
I'll just
could
speak up.
you take it over to the side or aim it a little more to Paul so it'll pick him up for this recording? I would appreciate that.
You can sit over there.
Yeah.
I can sit over there if that's okay.
Yeah, you got lots
You're
of
welcome.
form.
Tony, sit.
Here, you come right next
I'm
to
happy
me.
to.
You can sit next to the colonel. Snuggle up.
Okay, we'll do that. Okay,
There you go.
all right, we're good. Okay. Okay, can you hear me better now?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
So, we looked at this building in a much narrower focus about a year and a half ago. Since have, returned and now done what, as the mayor mentioned, a complete needs analysis and a master plan for this entire campus, not just this building, because all of these departments are interrelated and they all work together. So we met with pretty much every department head and key staff in a series of interview meetings. And from those meetings, we put together some pretty copious notes of each meeting, distributed those. Everybody had a chance to review them so that we could see and hear, what everybody's needs were. And based on that, and they're in the package that you got, and I'm not going to obviously get into the detail of this program. So what this spreadsheet represents is a complete space needs program of all of the buildings on campus. But the study went beyond just the buildings. We also looked at the site, because some of the things that we learned in these meetings were a lot of the circulation conflicts between different departments, different vehicles, and frankly, there were some serious safety concerns about that. So I'm going to go to the next slide and start with the site.
So just to support Paul's talked to Eric and I and the mayor and others. What I really like about the first slide, when you go back to it, is he has really standardized square footage on real needs, not filling out where people live and how much space they have, but a standardized square footage based on their job and their position and the work that they do. So that's and that's how all, frankly, all government buildings are designed, with the standard square footage. So that's one thing when I looked through this that I really appreciated was, because you look at a couple offices that were like 3 times the square footage of the person that would, as we transition, really rates in that type of position.
Thank you. And one of the other things that we look at and discuss is not only the individual offices, but also the relationships between departments. And and you'll see when we get into the plans, we try to not create rooms that are only going to get used, an afternoon. So you'll see some multi-purpose rooms that will get used more, and it's more efficient space-wise. One of the other things that you'll find is, as everybody knows, the second floor of this building has been in disuse for years. And so by putting that back into use, it actually creates enough space for us to, if you will, to play the shell game with where everybody works and sits in order to meet all of the needs and without having to do a major addition to this building. So you'll see that this existing building is about 14,000 square feet. And the concept is to replace this council chamber with a bigger room and a circulation, or kind of where you folks at that end are sitting. in order to get an elevator and another stair at this end of the building up to the second floor and put that back into service for good. I'm gonna go back to the site plan for a minute because it all begins here. So can everybody see my cursor moving around? So Shaker Boulevard and Brainerd Circle for orientation. And so one of the things that the biggest challenges to this site was there really only two ways in and out of this site. And one of them, the one to Brainerd Circle, but is primarily for the fire department, and even the police department use it too. So at this intersection here, and where the public are coming in this main road to park back here to get to the the trash and the recycling, there's a lot of cross traffic between the police, between the garbage trucks coming in out of here, and the service department vehicles coming out here. And also this parking lot, which is pretty much a relentless sea of asphalt, is also just, it fills up fast, especially when there are things going on here other than government business. So what we're proposing to do is to utilize some of the property to the east of the site that the city purchased where that house was demolished, and create basically a service drive, and also create parking for the service department to just take some of the load off of the main parking lot and give us the ability to add some islands in there and to help soften and control the traffic a little bit. So if you look on here, you can see these arrows are basically identifying, the service department would use this coming in and out. The garbage trucks, which now park in the back where we converted the old salt shed, if you will, to their storage, comes out here. And also the police, who are parking here most of the time, they can get out this way or they can go out that way. And so what happens now is this driveway from here to the back of City Hall, there's no reason for anybody other than the public and staff who work here to use that entrance. So it basically separates all that traffic and really completely avoids those conflicts. But at night, when there are meetings, and one of the needs, because there are times when this council chamber needs to hold 70, 80 people, not 25 or 30, we know that this parking lot is going to fill up. But that's also at a time where we expect the service department and the garbage trucks are moving around, so they're going to use this lot. So the other, then we'll get into the buildings in a second. So the program right now also includes some work to the fire department, all of which we think can happen within the existing buildings, or there'd be no addition is being contemplated for that building. And the service department, although that project was finished, 5 years ago now, maybe, or they're already in need of some more storage space. So we're identifying two potential additions to the building, and they don't have to be built at the same time necessarily, but we're trying to show all the opportunities for this in this plan. And then City Hall, you can see this white portion is where the addition would be, and there's that dotted line is the council chamber that we're sitting in now.
The service department, those are alternatives, or you need them both?
I think that we have to get deeper into the so like when we designed the service department addition in the first place, we really got down to brass tacks on how many vehicles, where they were going to park, and seasonally. So in the case of that building, we don't know that we need all of this space, but when we get into the next phase into the schematic design of this, we'll drill down more and decide what's really needed there. But we see those as two distinct opportunities to be able to expand that for vehicle storage, storage of holiday materials, whatever that may be. So we haven't really drilled down that much other than to identify those as opportunities.
I'm surprised that they've outgrown it already.
As happens.
Is it vehicles mostly, Jim?
It's probably more equipment and materials, equipment being trailers and things that are pulled by other vehicles.
And
I think we fell a little short when we were trying to think of what our needs were at that point. And then we're like the city's holding spot. Everybody kind of take over a lot of stuff that come out of their garages because they need space.
And I also recall, Jim, that when we did your project, we had a canopy here that ended up not getting built, was taken up for budget. That was for you to be able to put your, park the gators and the, what do you call it, the buggies that you use for the garbage pickup. So that never got built. but again, so what, part of our next steps here would be to do a schematic design of all these, put a budget to everything and prioritize that budget. What are the musts, the wishes we have, and the things that can wait, so that we can, so when you decide what funds you want to allocate to capital projects here, you're applying those by priority. One of the other things to that end is we're also looking at opportunities for renewable energy on the site. So the roof of the service department building and the fire department building are flat roofs, and they're very conducive to be able to do photovoltaic. So part of what we would want to do next is determine what capacity could that take care of, and then do a cost benefit analysis to see what the payback would be. So
What's been your experience on that in terms of the payback on solar in this area? Have you done other commercial projects?
we've done a few projects where that's been put in.
Kind
It's
of all in, is there a payback?
7 to 10 years usually.
And what's the
Is what that
useful
is, and it depends, the useful life is 25 to 30 years.
Of the
And
current
longer if
level,
they're-
yeah.
yeah. And it really matters on how they're taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
If they're left to sit and they're left to collect dust and they're left, they get scratched, they don't perform as well.
Mm-hmm.
Well, again, everything has a service life. And a second opportunity for that, we're showing in this lawn, northwest of the fire station, and in the lawn in front of City Hall, opportunities for geothermal wells. So we would study what capacity, how many BTUs could that produce? Because we know, for instance, when we put this addition on City Hall, the system that's in this building isn't gonna have the capacity for that. So it's gonna have to have its own system at this end of the building. And this geothermal, my gut is this is more than enough for that. So it may even be possible to do that just from what's in front of the building, and maybe convert the fire department from gas to geothermal. And again, it's all about the payback.
Same question on that. What's been your experience in geothermal?
Geothermal is about the same payback, and we've done it a couple of times, including at Fuchs Mizrahi School on the other side of the highway. They have it, and it's been working great for them. And you can add to it also over time. It's just about how much land you have to drill the wells.
So the real benefit of geothermal is it takes care of not only the heating, but the cooling. So we don't need any central air, we don't need gas furnaces. We just have the equipment that, and obviously once you put it fuels free, really the cost is how far they have to go down.
And in my opinion, for the paybacks for an institutional building is a different decision than for like a commercial place. So what we don't see happen a lot is in commercial office buildings, in retail, things like that. The private developers, if you private owners, they don't want to do it because the payoff is too long. But in not municipal, but any kind of institutional buildings, whether it's schools or like a JCC, the rec center, or a campus like this, it makes a lot of sense. And I think that the threshold for what that payoff is a different formula.
Big question. The white is net new space, right?
Yes,
So right now we are sitting in the gray part of the city.
you're sitting right here. If can you see the dotted lines right
Yeah.
here? That's the footprint of this room right now.
Will you knock it down
We knock it down. So part
from
of
that
the-
wall, basically?
from basically that wall over. And there's a couple of reasons for that. One of them is to try to take it apart and add to it. It's gonna cost more than it would be to replace it, is reason one. And reason two, when we get into the plans of the building, underneath this new room, we would be creating a new multi-purpose room. And based on this, you don't have the ceiling height there to do that properly. So we would push the floor of that room down a couple more feet so we could get a 9, ideally a 10-foot ceiling in there, so that it could be used for a bunch of different purposes, which we'll get to in a minute.
So footprint wise, it's outside of this, right? You're adding outside of that dotted
It's
line.
going that way, and it's the full width of the building. So right now, this room is narrower than the rest of the building. You can see these return walls. I'll get to I'll get to the plans of this building in a moment. A couple other things about the site I want to point out. One of the other conflicts, safety issues, is this public park and the conflict between traffic and people who are parking in this parking lot going to that park. It didn't show up on here, but we're trying to create a parking lot here that's a little bit more contained for the public to park in, and then where this existing bathroom building is, which was the first project I ever did here, we would create a footpath from here to get to that, so people aren't walking up the fire station drive and then cutting over here. It didn't show up on the plan, I apologize for that. And then I think the only other thing that I missed on the site plan is we are also proposing a canopy for the police cruisers so that they can be parked out of the rain and the snow, out of the sun, and also providing power, basically shoreline power, like you would for a boat and a dock, so that their vehicles can be, so that the computers and the vehicles can stay warm and the equipment up and running without the vehicles having to sit there and idle and burn fuel all day long. And it also keeps them out of the sun and out of the snow, so it's easier to get in and out quickly. And the
So
cars will be
for
cooled down.
council, if you're not aware, that's basically the model that the fire department uses. So, you would plug in the vehicles would be modified lightly upon purchase, and they can be plugged in. And that way we don't have to keep these engines going all the time, which has been a maintenance issue for police and more so for mechanics. We've gone through engines on a couple of cars because these cars are turned on.
And we can't plug them in if they're exposed to the elements because of potential water issues.
Right, so that can be used for that, and they're in the shade, so they're not getting in a hot car on a 85-degree August day. Also, so that is another component of the site plan. The last piece is we're proposing bringing in a new entrance off of Shaker as a drive that would come across the front of City Hall and create some parallel parking spaces in front for handicap parking, because that is one of the biggest, I think, deficits in this building is it's not accessible at all. And in the slight way that it's accessible, it's making somebody having to come in and feel like a second-class citizen. You'll remember we talked about that when we were looking at this project some time ago. So, are there any questions about the site plan? We can always come back to it, but if not, I would move on to the plans at this point.
Can the public ask a question?
It's fine with me.
My
There's
question
so
would
few
be,
of you here, I'm not going to object to the public asking a question here.
to the east of the police department there, that existing parking lot is permeable pavement with drains.
Yes.
I don't know if that drains to the east or to the west. Putting that new road in, would that affect the drainage of that? Or could that new road also be made permeable just to extend the benefit of it?
It could be, but
Drains
that person has that question sitting in the corner.
We would look around. Actually, the crosswalk that goes from City Hall to the permeable pavement is permeable as well.
Mhm.
It is not working that well because of all the truck traffic. It is now getting close to the end of its life.
And we can talk about whether, obviously we're going to work together on this, on what other payment may want to be permeable. It's a good question.
Anything else? Okay, go on.
Okay.
Just to add to the record though of where you are, not for what you talked about. I just wanted to right now thank all of our employees who participated. I know the council individually had a lot of conflicting schedules, but we were very appreciative that after we extended the invitation to all council, that two councilmen were able to come and meet with Paul that day. So that I think that was very beneficial for him to get that feedback from the council members also.
I agree. Everybody was very forthcoming. It was really, really helpful. Frankly, we enjoyed the day. It was good to do.
Sorry to interrupt. Go
No
on.
problem, please. So now we're looking at this floor of the building, but I'm gonna skip to the other floors for a second and then come back to this. So I'm gonna start with the upper floor of the building, because I mentioned earlier, being able to put that space back into service is really the linchpin to solve all of the space problems that you have in this building. So this is, I don't know, some of you may have never even been up there. And I understand it used to be like the quarters for the fire chief and the fire department at one time. And so there's a bunch of, you can sort of see these walls are all the existing walls. It's sort of a rabbit warren. There's a corridor, and there's a bunch of different rooms, there's a full bathroom and a little kitchenette up there. And so the idea is to actually turn that into the administrative offices. So that would put the mayor, the finance director, Sheila, Becky, they would be up there. There would be some conference space up there. But I'll come back to that. And so what that lets us do is now take the building department, who is in the basement of the building, and we learned are by far the most visited department in this city hall. They get infinitely more visitors than anybody else. And so what we would do is move them up to this floor in this space. I'm going down the hall on the right-hand side where Sheila and Becky are now. So we would create a private office for the building commissioner, a shared office. And then also, one of the other deficits on this floor are these tiny little bathrooms in the corner. So we would take some of that space and create proper public bathrooms on this floor, which you need to be able to support council meetings. If you have a bunch of people here, there's like 2 individual toilets. So we would do, basically two fixture bathrooms and double the capacity. The mayor's office, which is down on the left, we would convert to 2 flex offices. So that, for instance, there's a human resources person who comes here once a week that needs a place to camp out. And also, we heard from the council members that they would like to have an office here that they can use to touch down when they're here and to meet with constituents. Have a place here to do that. And then we would also, behind this door, there's a small conference room, and then the finance office. We would combine those into a larger conference room that can also act as the council's caucus chamber, where they can meet before these meetings. But you're in need of a large conference room. Aside, it's hard to meet in this room. And downstairs, we're converting that room down there into a community room, which you'll see in a second. Another important factor is in between the new council chamber, basically where your folks are sitting at this end of the building, is a new circulation. So it will be a front and back opening elevator, because we have these different floor levels that we have to hit, and a small stair, and then a new stair going all the way up the building. And then we also have just a copy resource room that can be used by the building department, but also right outside the council chamber, so that you need to make copies and you need to make documents that you're using in these meetings. It's right there. So stop me if you have any questions about this one. I'm going to move to the next. Hearing none. Now we're in the basement underneath here.
We
So,
like to call it the lower level.
okay, the lower level, the concourse level. How does that sound? So in the lower level, which is nice too, because the grade is down so that we have the ability to get windows into these rooms here, so it doesn't feel like you're in a basement. So I'm never using that word again.
Thank
you. You're welcome. So underneath the council chamber, we'll start there, creating a large community room that can hold about 100, 120 people, depending on how you set up tables and chairs or rows of seats. But it's a multi-purpose room because the fire department is in need of a proper large room that they can do training and also use as a command center for emergencies. And the police department has a small training area that's sort of, we talked about flexible before. It's their break room, lunch room. We have, they can put the chairs away and put the mats out, but this is a bigger room for them to be able to do defense training and things like that. And then off of that, there's a large storage room where each of these departments and groups can store what they need. They pull it out when they're using it, put it away when they're done, like good boys and girls. And then this room is also for public events. Off of this room would be a small sort of catering style kitchen that can support those needs, both if the fire department or police department are training, or also if somebody's having a party there, they're able to use that kitchen. And then we also would build proper bathrooms downstairs too. I'm not sure what the exact fixture count is, but we have the ability to create a nice men's room and a nice women's room. And then we also have where the building department is now a flex, basically storage room that also there's also some fitness equipment in this building that can go in there temporarily until, so that's really some flex space. It's nice that we get this done. There's still some space that I'm not quite sure what to do with, but not much of it.
Just looking at the bottom there, storage.
Yes.
Storage. It seems like a lot of square feet.
What it should say is storage and mechanical, because right now, some of these rooms, these are these existing rooms that really aren't useful for anything else, because they have low ceilings and they're just block walls. And this room, for instance, is a mechanical room now. And when we build this wing of the building, we're going to need a pretty sizable room for mechanical also. It might be a third of this room. So it's just not that developed yet. This is really, ideal space plan level more than it is, I would say, floor plans, which would be the next step. And then the other, this end of the building is in gray. This is the part that the police department currently uses, and this is their garage. which is this 3-car garage here. They keep cruisers in 2 of the bays, and the 3rd bay asked for a fenced storage area for evidence storage and something that was secure there. So really the only scope for the police department in this project right now is dealing with the shelter, the vehicle shelter we talked about, and building this fenced storage area. We heard they're still very happy with what we did and really don't have any other needs now. So
Question, that double door in that main hallway, is that a fire door and is that there by code? or-
that's existing. That'll go away. That would be necessary. Well, what's missing from here also, because again, this is so early, is this community room and storage room, this wing of the building will probably be pushed down 2 feet lower than the rest of the floor in order to get the ceiling height we need to have a proper, a meeting room like that. You want to have at least a 9-foot, ideally a 10-foot ceiling. You might not be able to get that deep. So we'll have to have some steps down. And again, that's another reason why we have an elevator that's a front and back opening elevator, because I can come out of the back and be on the low side and then come up 3 feet, if you will, and come out on the front here on the high side. And that's necessary on the first floor as well.
Well, it's very 50s, 60s, that's sunken.
Yeah, we'll have a conversation pit house tonight. Okay, and then upstairs, this is the new administrative offices. So the interior walls of this would all come out, and we would reconfigure this whole floor in order to create the mayor's office. And he has an office that also has a little drum table to be able to meet privately in his office. So it's basically the same size office that the mayor has now. A finance office for Peter over here, an admin office, maybe this one's for Becky, and Sheila, one of them's for you. And then there's also some, this storage flex space. There could be additional employees someday. So right now that we could put workstations in here. So there's actually a little extra space. And we also have a smoke room, the ability for a smoke conference room here. And somewhere we would probably do a little coffee station or something like that, a place to have refrigerator or coffee machine. Not a kitchen per se, just a coffee station like you would see in any corporate office.
Would the existing HVAC ductwork all have to be redone?
Yes, and so that's part of, as I mentioned earlier, about new HVAC system, right? What's up there right now, it's not air conditioned. And so whatever new system that we provide for this new wing of the building would also have the capacity and would serve the 2nd floor, so it would be in that new system.
There is essentially not a functional HVAC system upstairs at all, which is why it's not used for anything right now except storage, basically. I think the suggestion at a meeting at last year's council, and I think it was actually Mr. LeMay, who helped open up the topic when he said, well, let's look at the 2nd floor. That really, allowed us to think, bigger about what this building can be best utilized to do.
And the HVAC in this building is, I don't work here all the time, but it's not good to begin with. So that's why why I'm gonna, ask and look for geothermal. As long as we have to gut it and redo the whole HVAC, let's go to something that's in the 21st century that gets us into the renewable energy and is just better use of all our assets.
A long-term approach.
Yeah,
Well, that's
this is a 40-year building, 40-year project.
the idea with everything that we've done and that we're doing here is that we don't want anything but routine maintenance that have to be done for decades to come. It's just being responsible to the next generations here. So the HVAC system also creates some other opportunities here to make some of the space that's better, like this hallway right now. It has this low ceiling with these lights in it. If we can get, for instance, serve this floor from ductwork underneath instead of down that ceiling, we can raise that ceiling up and make it feel without spending any more money, because we have to do the HVAC anyway. Just make it a more gracious space, more fitting of the front hallway of a city hall. That doesn't really feel like it. So, and of course we would replace the wall. So,
Go with flat.
that's right. So the schematic design, which would be the next step, would include the scope to do all of this so that we can actually get a budget, so that you can make some decisions about how far to go, what you can do, and what you need to defer, if anything. So I also just wanted to remind everyone about, this has been almost a year and a half ago when we were only looking at expanding the council chamber. We were putting a new loggia, a new vestibule on the front of the building as part of, enhancing the entrance in the building, but it was also a functional solution to dealing with the ADA issues and security. And so we think that this look, which everybody liked at the time, that Architecture Review Board all called it elegant, which is, I'd love to hear that from those folks. So I think that same feel, that work wasn't lost. That's going to serve us well, that work that we did before. So then the rest of this is just, I'm not going to go through this. This is all the notes of all of the meetings that we programmed as we had. So this is a comprehensive master plan document that basically identified all of the needs and showed diagrammatically how they would all be solved on the site and in the buildings. And that's where we are now. And we feel like this is a really good solution. The relationships of these spaces, the size of the spaces are just right. And in the meeting, preliminary meeting, I had to present this a week or so ago. I think that the mayor and some of the council members would agree.
Would the second floor be extended out to the full extent of the new council wing?
No, it would only be extended out far enough to be able to deal with the vertical circulation. Although the council chambers, ceiling is going to be higher, but there's not going to be any space above it. So,
What drove the size of council chambers? It seems pretty capacious.
it isn't laid out here, but it was based on being able to seat about 80 people, and so we'll show that in the next iteration of this, where we'll show where the dais goes and how the seating would work. And if it's too big, we'll make it smaller. But we feel like, based on our calculations of like how many square feet per person you need, that was kind of how we came to it, without doing a detailed layout of the furniture yet.
What's different in my mind is that whereas before, we were looking at expanding council chambers. That's what we're doing. And there was some modest extension of a community function in the room downstairs. Now, with moving building out of there altogether, we can have a more robust community room downstairs. So the size of the council chambers, to some degree, reflects the size of the room downstairs that we're creating for a community room. So in that way, I think that this can't be viewed in any way as simply a council chambers project. This is an all-building project now, and it has a lot more potential and utility for the city, I think, that way.
So this is a lot to take in. And you know this question's coming, right? How much?
I don't know.
I know you don't know, but give me a ballpark before I think about a budget. Is it a $30 million project? 20 million?
No.
In your brain, you have a range, right?
Since you're putting me on the spot, I'll take it. I'll say this is probably, the city hall building itself is probably $4 million project
4
to
million.
do everything here.
And then,
But the next step will be to actually do a schematic design of the building, the site, and everything else. And
I understand
have
all the
a- have
costs.
a cost estimate, put a number to it.
I got it, I got it.
That's the ballpark.
Okay, for just this building.
I think so.
And then by project, the other, I mean, you have a sense of everything else. Bill is a lower number, I would assume, but
Not really. The service building.
Not really, he doesn't have a sense, not really is it a lower.
No, Nick, thank you, yes.
that's why I took it. Thank you for that
For the
clarification.
service buildings, it really depends on, whether we do both additions or not.
One.
Or one of them, both of them together are about 3,000 more square feet. So that's probably $500,000 or $50 a square foot, something like that. And the site work, I frankly don't know.
Yeah.
So that's my best answer on that.
Well, all I'm looking for is a range, because I don't want to get into authorizing you another $100 project that we collectively say that's too much
Yeah,
money.
we're
to
not talking
spend.
about a $10 million project here.
We're not,
No.
all in, we're
All
not.
in, no.
What ballpark for the rest of it? Another 2? Another 1?
It's hard for me to say. I mean, I think
Not more than?
a couple more maybe. I mean, I really don't know. I mean,
I can't see the rest of it being $2 million. I do not see that at all.
I can't either. I mean, I think we're gonna
We're talking
spend,
about
We're gonna
The
spend,
shed roof.
we're gonna spend a couple hundred, a few hundred in the fire station, because so let me talk about that for a second. So the needs of the fire station right now, they have their fitness center right sitting out in the middle of the apparatus bay, and they are woefully understored. There's just stuff everywhere. And so what I think I wanna do there, I wanna explore, is extending the mezzanine that they have in there. That's at the end of the building facing Shaker, where their quarters are. And putting the fitness center on top of it, and then under it, making a gear room where they can have a good organized way to store all their equipment. And that can all be done inside the building. We don't have to add to that building to solve all their problems. And that'll solve their problems for a long time, because they just don't have the amount of vehicles and equipment that can accommodate that.
Because one thing I'd like to see is just kind of, with all the caveats, and I understand the caveats, whenever you're breaking dirt, you never know, you know, things happen, right?
Mhm.
But just in big buckets, what are the ranges of, is it 3 million to 5 million for City Hall? Just so I can understand what the magnitude of this is. Let me give you my list. Were there other iterations that you went through to kind of settle on this? Were there three, or I'm not even working with the group here, and
Not really.
I'd be curious in seeing A, B, and C. We selected C. Here's C, but was there?
There were just like on sketch paper, but this was clearly the right solution, because it was, once we put the second floor into service, it was clear that's where the administration was. And that the building department and this floor, who can also control every visitor coming during the day. It just made perfect sense. And sometimes, so we didn't create other options as straw men just to knock it out.
Well, yeah, but sometimes you create.
Sometimes we do, but
Yeah.
in this case, it was, the right solution was pretty apparent, and I think this is it.
So Jim, can I ask you, where are you coming from with your questions? Are you concerned that he hasn't gathered all of the requirements?
No,
Been
I want to see the
overzealous in requirements, or
I just want to see the
that
map.
it's too expensive?
Yeah.
But in which case I would want to know, how you base that. I mean, I don't know how you can determine yet what we can or can't afford, or what would be unreasonable. There's all sorts of different financing options. We're talking about a 40-year payback here, so where are you going with these questions?
Well, my question is understanding the value we're getting and the cost in a very general sense. Just in a very broad sense, to understand if this were a $25 million project, have a different reaction versus a $4 million project, right? I have no idea. I'm not a construction.
So what's your
person.
reaction to a $4 million project?
It's not negative.
Okay.
I think you're
And
trying
I
to
think-
get to order of magnitude, right?
Yeah, that's where I'm going with this, yeah, because at some point, I mean, one of my questions is, when does the public get involved in this, right? When do we kind of lay this out there? It's, regardless of what it is, it's a big expense.
And that's in this proposal, a public meeting.
Yeah.
I think we need to we agree.
Yeah.
And I've had that conversation, that we need to have a public meeting, I think sooner than later, because, at first I was wondering, gee, does Paul have to first design it and then do it? And I think, no. I think we get the public involved earlier in the process.
This is enough to me to have the public get a sense of this, and get a sense of the value, and get a sense of the cost in broad strokes.
I agree, that was my conclusion also.
Maybe there's just
Unless Paul totally disagrees with
Well,
that.
the only, I was going to, but I think maybe the answer is that there's two meetings. That there's one just to present this master plan, as I've done now, and just broad brush say, we think that this could be all in $5-6 million project, just for the sake of argument. And then the next public meeting is when we have the design and we have the actual professional estimate that goes with it. That's prioritized.
Yeah.
And then because people are going to ask the same questions you're asking, so, right? And we can't answer those.
Hang on, let me ask a question.
Go ahead.
So if you go back to slide 4,
I'm sorry. What floor? What?
sorry, the
site plan.
Skyview, yes.
So it's this. I bet you. I understand. Sorry.
Is there a limitation? I'll tell you why I'm asking this in a second. Is there a limitation on how far you can do the white rectangle adjacent to City Hall, the new space? Could we go bigger if we wanted?
Yes.
Okay.
There's really there's no physical limitation on this site.
Okay, I bring that up because I think there's
Well,
some,
I'm gonna back up one second. We don't wanna go that way because we're already getting on top of utilities here.
Right.
There's no way around it.
Yeah,
But
we had
going
that
this way
discussion
too,
last time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but going this way too is even more so. So I'm not sure what your reason for that, but if you were gonna make it any bigger, you would wanna probably get bigger that way.
sure. So now we'll go to slide. It's 6 on mine. And one more. Yeah, that one.
Okay.
So I think first of all, I think this is a great presentation. Thank you. I'll give you that.
Thank you.
What you deserve. On programming, I think this is a huge opportunity, the community multipurpose room. And the reason I asked, can you go bigger? I think if you did a programming session with some residents that are representative, we collectively may want something bigger than this.
I think we can make this room bigger without making the building bigger. And the reason being is this flex storage room really doesn't have a defined purpose necessarily. So it's very possible we could move a restroom there, move storage room, and then make this room just grow more deeper into the addition.
That's a really great point, Sandy, because and I didn't realize this, having only lived here a couple of years, but the mayor's talked that people were looking for a standalone community center, community room for years, and now we put it into this project, we don't have to build a standalone community center. And if we want to make it a little bigger or have them adjust the footprint a little bit, and I think you're spot on here. This is kind of a kill 2, 3, 4, 5 birds with one stone.
Yeah, I view this as actually saving money.
Yeah.
Because we're
right.
not necessarily
Not
going to
building
do a
a
standard.
My point is, let me just finish. As we consider what to tweak and how much, that we would add a needs now, I don't know what phrase to use, a programming brief
I like these analysis. That's a good word.
around this
Yeah,
facility.
in a community meeting, we could ask those questions. And any room we want to design to its use, so I don't, what's the biggest event? It's going to be, the size of that room is going to be based on how many people does it want to accommodate at the end of the day. Is it, you're not doing a 200-person wedding, but I can imagine having events where and it may be like your state of the city that maybe you don't want to have in the council chamber, that you have 100 people in rows of chairs. And so when we design these rooms, we'll show you different layouts, what it looks like, how many 8 top tables can you get in there for a baby shower, how many rows of seating like this can you for a lecture or a talk. And then we would also work with the police department, the fire department to lay it out for how they want to use it for training. And then that also leads to what kind of storage do you need in order to store that furniture that's used by the community, to store whatever, AV equipment or other, storage cabinets or things that the fire department may need for training sessions or police.
So I guess my last question for this is, if needs get changed, would you consider changing how big the whole footprint is?
Yes.
This is not set in stone.
No. Far from it.
Okay.
Yes.
I don't know what everyone's consensus is on that.
One point, something else you mentioned makes me want to point out. Where we put this parking area here, we deliberately pushed it back on the site off of Shaker to preserve this piece of land for who knows what. Could be another park, play area, a little outdoor amphitheater, whatever it is. So as we, and now that I look at it more, I think we could even take that parking and push it back a little further. Because I think it's important to preserve as much of this piece of land as possible.
Yeah.
And it also doesn't hurt to have the parking and everything far off a Shaker just from a visibility standpoint. So, this is sort of, the master plan. It's not the schematic design. And that's what we want to do. And that's when we'll really be able to define this. And to your point, be able to have those further conversations. Because what we haven't done is gone back to each department, forget the public for
and making, and working with them on the exact layouts
Just
of
the core
the spaces. And so sure, we've got the space that we think they need identified and its location and its relationship to the other spaces, pretty much there, because some of that could change too. So it's the perfect stepping off point to get to that. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Now, what is, and Mr. Lemay and I actually share a history on this one.
Oh, we do. Oh, that, yes.
Because in
29, 2009,
2008, somewhere around that, long time ago now, this city was promoting a municipal campus plan that, involved, $13 million to build about 12 and a half, 13, 17, or was it 17?
26 in my head, but okay.
So that's in
You know,
2009.
an enormously more expensive
Project
project
would be
in those dollars. So this, just like we accomplished at a fraction, we accomplished premier police station. It's functional and serves the needs of Pepper Pike. We've got the service department, other than maybe a little tweaking now, up to snuff as to what it needs there. We've accomplished a lot for, relatively low dollars.
Well, compared to that foolishness,
Compared to that.
it's not necessarily a recommendation.
And we're dealing with it in today's dollars now too, Joe. So it's like, I think this is a wonderful accomplishment. If we can do this and find an appropriate financing, vehicle to do this, because I'd want to cash flow something like this. I wouldn't want to lay out the dollars. I'd want to cash flow this with a bond or something. And I think then it becomes a remarkably affordable project for the city.
I'm not sure we need to do that. We'll look at that.
We can talk about all those
Yeah,
things,
yeah.
but
But I guess I would like kind of big picture at some iteration, because I think from the public hearing all these questions is like big buckets of, City Hall is the biggest bucket by far. And then working down from there and just understanding priorities. And I guess from a scale up, gear up standpoint, this all doesn't need to be done at once, right? I mean, you could do City Hall and then service a year later, and then if you want
It
to.
doesn't need to be all done at once, but the most economical way is to do it all.
Once you're geared up.
Bond it, we
Once
want to
you're
do
geared
it
up.
all at once.
And,
I don't know, I don't get why we go start in with the mentality of shortiness. I'm listening to this and I'm thinking we're already getting a great deal. I don't know why we're I mean,
I think that would be the ideal thing.
because what I'm seeing here is in this needs analysis, we're building this up from, a very structured, fundamental assembly of identified needs. And it's, we need these things. And so I don't know why we're starting to short it. I really don't.
I'm not proposing shorting anything.
So that, so then I guess I said my piece.
Yeah, in my opinion, though, if you do all of this, you won't have to do any capital projects on this campus for 30 years. Other than your only expenditures are going to be maintenance.
And that's how-
You're always going to have that.
That's how we should think about
I
it too,
think so.
rather than a short term.
Absolutely. This, as we talked about in the road and infrastructure committee with the mayor and Eric who's in there all a couple times. This is a 40-year project. And that's how everybody needs to understand this. As I kind of joked that the 1960s called and they want their building back. And this is 40 years out. This built long after I'm gone. This project will live on and still look good and be up to date and be economical. The other thing we haven't talked about, which is a great segue, because our new energy partners, the group from Ohio, they will help us with grants. They will help us with energy savings performance contracts, which can help with the renewable and bucket this all together. So we have a first-class project that we can showcase to the whole area.
Got one point. I don't think we should be talking about financing right now, but those are good points. I will say that. I think, just thinking about head of like public hearing on this, I don't think the public understands the needs at all of why this is on the table, the core functions and what the gaps are. So I recommend, I don't know who it would be, communicate and build some presentation around what's really not working and how this is not working relative to our neighboring communities. Because that will give us that impetus that we should do something.
Another element I think is important is using the space we have more efficiently is as a point. Upstairs in particular, which is just wasted space right now.
It is. That unlocks a
Yeah,
lot.
we're paying a lot, we're paying a high dollar for cardboard boxes.
Right, but just as a point of utilization efficiency is another, I think to your same point, Cindy,
Ties together.
it ties together.
Education, I guess, is my point.
Yeah. But Mr. Mayor, I agree with you, just bringing the public along on this right now would pay dividends, I think. And we might get some surprising suggestions that no one thought.
Well, I think we gotta get it all done.
One quick
Best,
comment.
one second. Go ahead now.
My quick comment, getting back more to the nuts and bolts. If this is a 3-4 decade long project, and there's nothing above the council chambers, and we're losing the signature fireplace, could a mini rotunda go in there? It's very state-like, but gets, in Capitol buildings and stuff.
I don't know that I would use the word rotunda, but I wouldn't imagine that council chamber necessarily just having flexi like this either. We would do something nicer than this old acoustic grander. A tad grander, I like that, yes. Yes, sir.
You gotta be careful.
A tad.
Gilding the lily, right?
Okay, next steps. I've circulated to council also an agreement with Bylaski that we, if we're gonna be proceeding with this, we need to start engaging, or else we're not gonna have
We need to move.
all these things to talk about.
It's under $100,000.
Yeah, I didn't get that far even looking at that. I didn't think we're not voting on this.
We could. It's-
I-
it's
I'd like to
96
get this
grand.
town hall going.
I would rather do that first, quite frankly, before we commit.
I look for some direction from
gonna
council. How do
change
you want
that.
to proceed on this?
I think a town hall makes sense.
I think that would make sense to before we're committed, because we're
We're not committing to construct.
committed for 100,000.
We're just asking him to start getting the more detailed numbers that you were just asking.
That's the end point.
I tell you, a town hall before you do any numbers and do any really big planning, I think, I don't see the value added. I see the value added of getting to the next step, spending the money to develop the plans, and then we go with the town hall before we vote to carry forward the project.
And you don't go beyond schematic design until you're sure.
Right, I mean,
Committed to
$196,000 to get us to a point where we can really present to the community what we want or what needs to happen and with true costs, true benefits, all that stuff. I'm not sure a town hall before this is gonna get us anything.
Well, to me, this is the biggest capital project we've done. It's not a major roadway, I don't know, right? Ever, and since all the years I've been here. And I don't think just bringing the public along before we're spending another 100,000 plan, to me, makes a lot of sense and pays dividends. Even if it's this presentation, and even if it's broad strokes numbers that you just gave me, which I understand what God means.
The thing that pauses me a minute with what you're saying now, Mr. Lemay, is in 23, 24, whenever Paul was with us last time, No, the council spent we spent $40,000 on 2 plans here. And that's one reason it was only $7,500 for Paul to bring up to speed the needs and assistance program, because he was already so engaged with the property and the building. I'm not certain.
What's the
I
urgency
can-
today before next meeting at least to have some resident, I just don't want to be in a position of, hey, wait a minute, you already authorized that and it's $5 million, $6 million? It just,
We're not.
We're
not authorizing that. We're authorizing
well, authorizing, I understand what we're
100,000
authorizing, but
To get to real plans that we can make decisions on.
To actually have a conversation with.
Yeah, I don't think you can really have a conversation with anybody until you develop this a little further, which,
That's not a lot to have a whole town meeting about and have a
yeah, I
conversation
mean,
about.
in the
That
big,
concern.
the big
There's just
picture of
not
this
a lot there.
project, $96,000.
Okay, we had a half-hour conversation.
So I think, I know maybe one stumbling block here is, I know I'm already at a point where I know this needs to happen.
Yeah,
So I'm already at that point, because I could walk around this building and I can see the limits we have in space. I've been here when the HVAC wasn't working properly. We know that we wanted better access and parking, so I'm at the point where I know this has to happen. Now all we're really talking about is how does it happen?
Well, here's the other way of looking at it, I think. If we enter into this agreement, we don't owe Paul $100,000. We're not gonna write him a check for $100,000. It's going to begin a process. And if after a town hall, development of schematics, 2 town halls, whatever it is, the whole concept crashes in on itself. I can't imagine it's going to, but if it does, we say, Paul, you're done. And we pay him off, he knows what his hours have been, and we're done. So there's not really a downside, if that's the circumstance. Am I saying it correctly, Mr.?
Yes, and that wouldn't be the first time that's happened, frankly.
But if we did a town hall, or not if, when, how soon would we want to do it? Because it's gonna be relatively soon.
Well, I think
Just
the
based on these
conversation
lines.
has to be, do we need the preliminary town hall with this limited very limited presentation? Or do we wait to flesh it out a little more so that there's something actually to be sharing?
Right, so I think of some of the questions that Jim started to fire out today, wouldn't it be nice to have some of those answers going into the town hall?
Right.
Yeah, and I was, you could tell I was not that comfortable.
I understand.
I'm less comfortable, way less comfortable to do that in a public forum.
I completely understand.
Other than here.
Right.
Well, I guess is there something to get us your comfort level without waiting for 3 months for your final schematics? Because obviously this is going to be a point of discussion in the community, starting now because we're here. And
There's one person watching.
5 minutes.
5 minutes.
Well, some people watch later.
We're being facetious.
it's hot on the list, I'm sure.
But back up a second. We're talking about a town hall just to bring awareness of that this project is even existing.
Yeah.
We've gotten to a stage. I think this is a decent stage, right? To me, you gotta check that box. Then, I don't know what you all are thinking, that would not be the end all be all town hall. We probably would have to have a cadence. At least a handful.
I'm thinking maybe we handle it more with a written communication to people that the city's looking at this, rather than this assembly of people.
I think a special Pepper Pike post goes out just with this, and we could knock off all the comments and put a couple schematic pictures to it. Because how many people are come to a town hall? I don't know, but I know everybody looks at their email when they get the city
I think that's
email.
better.
and it-
Well,
it's
actually,
got-
I think that's a better way of doing it.
And even to have the next meeting there, have a little bit more promoted, so that that it's on the agenda for discussion. It's not a formal town hall, but the fact that it's well noticed and someone who really
There's
cares
not
about
more
it.
than 25 people show.
Yeah,
So,
I guess part of me says that's the test. Right?
so instead of a town hall, we just make it an agenda item at the next 3 or 4 meetings. And
Yeah.
give a specific question and answer for that agenda item. That way, we don't have to do a separate town hall. And we get it out there, but I go back to, I truly believe we just need to authorize him to start moving out.
I think if we do that in combination with what you just said
Yeah.
prior to that, in terms of publicity, that goes a long way toward anyone later saying, you guys flew off and did this, and, you know, that's kind of what I'm sensing.
Right, it's, I think we're all kind of saying the same thing. I'd entertain a motion to authorize the city to, the mayor to enter into this agreement with Alaska.
so this is, first, an agreement, not, we would have a separate motion on the financial spend later?
This is nothing to do with construction. The construction plan
Oh,
is
that's
totally.
way
No,
down
the
the road.
That's
90,
way
the
down.
96K.
No, that's what this
That's-
agreement, we
that's
don't
what
owe him 90, that was my question to Paul before. so-
This is a bill, this is a tiered bill.
you don't own me until I
This time and material.
This is basically a time material.
This is tell him to get started, and if he's done $10,000 worth of work in a month and a half, we say, we're pulling the plug, then we write him a check, and it's money well spent, but so the motion would be to authorize the city, the mayor to enter into the agreement up to $96,000, not a check tomorrow, but to actually get it going in parallel with the mayor's, with the email. Paul will work with the email, or just kind of whispered that he'll give the mayor some talking points and the schematics, so we can send it out in the Pepper Pike Post. And then we can make it an agenda item at both meetings in May, and get a feel for how people are looking at it.
So then just for clarification on my end, right, one of the line items is architectural. So let's say you start doing architectural work as spoken here. And then through these discussions, things get enhanced or changed. Would that be rework?
rework.
Would you have to do rework?
I don't know. It's just,
So I think what you might be asking is, he's starting to put together architectural design. You discover that we need a bigger community room,
I need a red toilet bathroom.
and or a bathroom,
in
or
schematic design, no, that's.
We're gonna put a total on it. Right.
We expect in schematic design there to be
The
some
things will change.
push and pull.
so
And so if you take that a bit further, so if we finish schematic design, and then you say, this is schematic design is done, but we've since now decided we want to double the size of this council chamber, then that would require an additional service. I have to change that before I get into design development. But as long as the scope doesn't change along the way, which I don't expect it will, there would be no cost for that. And to Mayor's point, we only bill for what we've done. We don't bill the whole thing up front and consider it like a retainer for billing accounts. That's just not how it works.
All right, I'll make the motion that the mayor enter the agreement with Alaska.
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Schmidt,
Yes.
Mr. Modi,
Uh, Can I abstain until we have more council here?
Vote won't pass if you do.
Then we'll-
So you're abstaining.
hold on. Conceptually, it all makes sense. I just,
I kind of have the same reaction.
Sure.
That's what makes sense to me. I'm pleasantly surprised at, I shouldn't say that. That's a bad way to say it. I'm sorry.
I don't take it personally.
I'm pleased with some of the design ideas here, like the parking lot is something, the way you're doing that is a need I didn't know we had that I really like. I kind of would like 7 members of council here. Have they looked, Jackie, has Tony?
Jackie and Alyssa encouraged me to proceed with this meeting tonight.
Okay. Proceed with the
Tony did
vote.
not want this meeting tonight, but Jackie and Alyssa both wanted this me to proceed with this meeting, even though they weren't here. And I believe they are very much in favor of this.
Did you talk to Tony? Did you have a,
Tony simply didn't want me to, he wanted me to take Paul off the schedule.
I'd like to get,
Did you, is your,
I'm gonna go with yes.
Mr. Lemay?
Yes.
Colonel Rice?
Yes.
Okay. Anything more to discuss with this, Commissioner?
As I mentioned too. Put together a narrative for you.
Yeah, I'll need a narrative because we want to promote this, and I'd like to do it sooner. I think the city would like to get onto the communication curve of this thing and not have anyone ever suggest that it's not happening quickly.
So I have one common question. if I may. So now we're gonna get to a place where more people are learning about this. We're gonna get more reaction to the needs. Is there a feedback loop, or do you even want a feedback loop for what some of those reactions might be?
Are you asking me that?
Yeah,
The answer is yes.
so what should how should we?
Shouldn't be the citizens going directly.
Not the-
No, but how the
It should be
council,
the staff or the.
I agree.
is it okay if
Yeah.
the council reaches out to you, or do we go to somebody?
I leave that up to
Mayor,
you
your
to decide
administration.
internally, but
If we need Paul
I
back,
think
we'll bring
someone here needs to be the filter, and that the public is not coming directly to me.
No, absolutely.
That's the only caveat I
We
have.
will
Otherwise-
filter it, and to the extent if we ever need you back, we will certainly call you.
Yeah, you know, I'm here for this.
But I'm thinking,
But how, right? I think
Mayor Bain, if we get more clarity on what people expect out of a community group.
Yes.
Or,
I thought that was valuable.
yeah, so how would we among ourselves, should we, the council people reach directly out?
No,
to
no,
Paul?
filter it through the administration.
Through- When you say administration,
To me.
you.
To me, otherwise Paul's gonna get
Okay,
five,
okay. fair enough.
7 communication
Fair-
channels
fair
going
enough.
on,
Good.
and it's gotta be, you know,
The other thing we could do, Eric, is we'll continue to put it as a agenda item on the road infrastructure.
Right, maybe people will
To
show
help
up.
shepherd us along in
I
traffic.
think that's a good point, Colonel.
What if you did a survey about just the needs of what people want out of a community? Look at a survey, 10 questions, put out to the community. We do this all the time
That's an
with
idea.
community engagement.
Then you can develop the survey next week, right?
Yeah.
That'd be great.
All the time.
That's an even better question.
I like that idea.
Get someone else to do it, right?
Yeah, that's what Survey Monkey's for, and these guys work with them all
We
the
do it
time.
all the time.
So you should
That
put it
would- that would
right
actually be very helpful.
I think that's really
Okay.
good.
So what I'll do is give me till, for early next week, I'll get you the narrative and a sample of what I think the survey questions will be. For you guys to-
That's very helpful, sir.
Okay, you bet.
You would put that in the post, link to it.
The poster, we'll make it we're gonna make this an independent thing, we're not gonna
Yeah.
bury this. Okay, thank you.
Great, thank
Mr.
you.
Deutsch.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate your briefing tonight and your time, thank you.
Thank you. I'm happy. And I can't wait to keep moving this along with you folks.
No, looking forward to working with you, sir.
You too.
Thank you, council, for all of your engagement this evening on this. Next, we are moving forward to entertaining a motion to authorize the engineer to
Can we
prepare,
bring the lights back up?
that was something that,
what did I do wrong?
well, just like,
Did something I do.
You can reach it, though. It'd be great.
Here.
You handle that?
Those two and that one.
well, that's it.
We got
Very
it.
good.
That's
Thank you.
better.
Well said.
All right. All right, we're gonna move ahead to entertaining a motion for the engineer to prepare plan specs and bid documents for our 26 pavement maintenance program. Don, you want to explain what this is? It's an
Yeah.
annual thing we do.
It's a combination of concrete point repairs that we do annually. There's a number of locations that their attention, and then also asphalt point repairs and doing some work. Really, Cedar Road is sort of the bigger one that we're gonna be doing some more.
Structural.
There'll be a fair amount of patching to make it more ride, improve the ride quality. There's some pretty rough spots there. And also, I know Mayor and I have been working with the county and WACA in terms of trying to get funding with the surrounding communities for a bigger project, basically a reconstruct. This is work that needs to be done just to get us to that next.
But in the meanwhile, this will create a smooth road surface for Cedar to make it a much more drivable roadway for people. It won't be the big rebuild of Cedar Road. We need other communities' participation.
I do have a couple questions.
Yeah.
Is there a list of the roads that you will be patching? Point repairs?
For concrete point repairs, we sit down with service department and go through the whole area. A lot of them are on Cortland, which is a little, it's kind of on the southeast or southwest end of town.
Eaton Commons.
The little Eaton Commons area. And we do have some point repairs on Land Road, south of Chagrin. And there's various locations throughout this.
Other various locations?
Yes.
Is there a water issue south of Chagrin on Land East? We repaired that just a few years ago.
It's, the concrete's not very strong, you know, so we've
It has.
repaired,
Okay.
it's about 30-ish years old. I think they had problems. It was actually done when the county did a huge project, all through Orange.
So this,
Concrete, and some of it, you know, just not.
so this motion is to authorize the planning, right? Because you got, John, you're gonna have a couple big contracts with this. You
Yeah,
said
this-
Cedar's probably gonna be about $250,000, so that'd be a separate contract.
No, this is
This is
to
for the
go
whole
ahead.
thing?
This is for the whole thing.
Okay.
This is not heavy on plan preparation, it's more of a spec book and quantity management. But we'd like to get it out there, just to look at the numbers, and then we can decide if the numbers come in high, we won't spend as much.
Gotcha. All right, I'll make a motion.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second?
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Schmidt,
Yes.
Mr. Modi,
Yes.
Stop. No, this is a motion.
Yeah, this is a motion.
Proceed.
Mr. Lemay,
Proceed.
Colonel Rice.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. Next, we'll move to the first reading of ordinance 2026-14. This deals with our emergency medical service billing. This is for when our EMS truck goes out and we bill through people's insurance carriers generally, or can cover our costs through their carriers, and our pricing has not moved for a long time. I'm going to let Mr. Rankett lead us. The chief wanted to be here, but he's out of town at a training session.
Remember, you don't have enough council members to suspend the rules for your emergencies.
Oh, shoot, that's right.
Yeah, wonderful, because these are easy.
All right, this is going to have to wait till next month.
Next
So we can talk about what it is. Why don't you talk about what it is?
Sure, Mr. Mayor, members of council, I met with Fire Chief regarding this ordinance. Really kind of started back when we were working on the budget, the budgetary issues like the building fees. These are something that haven't changed since 2011. So that was part of the discussion, was we really need to have a process where every few years we update these. This is an update that's long overdue. We did a survey of 48 communities in the area, and we came up with, what they're all charging now versus where we're at. We're definitely on the low end for all these different services that we charge for and provide. Lots of times these are things that, we get reimbursed from people's insurance. Between Medicaid and Medicare, it's about 75% of.
So what's the Medicare number? I mean, I don't care what the other communities do, we need to go with whatever the Medicare number is.
Not below it, for sure.
Yeah, that's
No,
not,
below
I
it.
guess that's what the other.
That's what
doing,
we
but
take it to, I
pay
believe, the
attention to
Medicare
this.
number.
that's my
No, we're
question.
not below the Medicare number.
That's absolutely where we need to be. not what other communities do, whatever the Medicare number is.
Unless they're already above that number.
Right.
We could
I
average up.
doubt we are.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's different levels of things that we do, depending on whether they provide, procedures, if they provide medication, and, if they provide more than 3 levels of, meds in administration to the patient. So those are just kind of all across the board, but yeah, we've definitely tried to exceed what, Medicare is charging, so we can at least get that. And also there's, workers' comp rate that took into effect. So the chief looked at all of these and, we determined after looking at all of them that these were the price points that we kind of wanted to show up.
The other aspect about these fees is because your residents pay taxes, there's a provision in the code that says you're not going to pursue beyond reimbursement amounts.
Yeah, we don't go after the resident, we go to the
We don't-
insurance
we don't chase
companies,
the
and then
resident.
if the insurance companies balk, we don't chase. We chase the insurance companies until
Right.
we don't.
You got it. Okay. Thank you for the first reading. You can take off your fire chief hat, and the chief will be back next meeting to answer in detail any other questions you have. Thank you, Peter. Well done. Next, we're going to have for first reading again, our salt contract. I guess we're again not going to pass this tonight because we lack time to suspend.
I think we have.
Yeah, I think
It's
for
the 15th
this
of May,
one,
right?
yeah, for this one, I think what we ought to do, they want the number, ODOT wants the number. This is where you're just finishing up the previous winter. They go out to bid based on all the numbers of municipalities throughout the state and the counties. And they bid this. While there would be, somebody could challenge this for an improper suspension of the rules, because this is such a routine item, I'm comfortable that with this one, 4 people can suspend the rules and adopt it without having a legal consequence. We've got to get that number down to ODOT to be in this year's.
So you not just give the number without the ordinance?
I recommend passing the ordinance with the procedural defect, understanding that it's not going to get challenged. There's nobody withstanding who's going to have a problem.
Is that how we should operate though?
Probably not, but it's different than where you're collecting money from somebody or regulating somebody. This is an administrative action. The fact that they're calling for an ordinance is,
We can't do it as a motion. They require an ordinance.
why don't you do it as a motion?
Do it as a motion. Okay. We're gonna do this as a motion.
So what's the tonnage?
3,400 tons we're gonna order for this year.
So
That's an uptick from last year.
How much can you put in the barn?
We have 2,000 in the barn right now.
How much can you fit?
We cannot get them any more until after we sign the contract.
No, how much will it take?
3,000, 2,700.
So you'll take it right to
With
2,700,
the
the
fir-
rest will be available to come
Yeah,
when you start using it.
yeah. We can take a minimum of 85% of 34, which is 510 less or 510.
All right, so your intention is to jam it all into the barn that you can now, and then as soon as we start using it, we fill the barn again.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
right. Right, we're not compelled to take, in a light winter sometimes, we've been compelled to get to our 85 to actually take salt and put it in the parking lot.
Gotcha. We're not compelled
Cover it
to
up.
do that.
We're not having to do that.
All right, I'll make the motion.
Wait, one last question. If you had that volume for this past winter, that was actually fulfilled and delivered, would we have had a shortage?
We started the winter with 1,900. We finished the winter with 2,000. So everything we ordered, we put on the roads. That was 3,651 tons.
You ordered that for this year?
We ordered that 3,651 tons and we put that.
And
We're
you ordered
100
how much?
tons more than we were at the beginning of last year. The last delivery came right before it all stopped.
Yeah.
I know what you're asking. Would we use more? We used more the year before this one, and she just this.
I'm really just trying to ask, is the number you're ordering for this new winter enough?
It's historically, yes.
Sorry, would it be enough if we had a repeat?
Yes, because we put down more salt with no delivery problems in the 24-25 season than we did in the 25-26
So
season.
use 3,600 tons this year. We're gonna start with 2,700 tons in the barns with the ability to order another 3,400. So you're
Trying, I mean, it's a guess.
We have your permission
I know.
You're pushing, if we're ending and starting the same, everything we order
is what we
is
use.
what we use, and that's what you're trying to get.
So the problem, just to crystallize this, it wasn't how much you ordered last time, it was the fulfillment.
It was the fulfillment, the
Correct.
delivery.
Okay, Colonel, I'd ask you to modify your motion to be for, we're gonna rename this Resolution 2026-15 to participate in the SALT program for the amounts that Mr. Advent.
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second for that
Second.
resolution? Roll call.
Mr. Schmidt,
Yes.
Mr. Bodie,
Yes.
Mr. Lemay,
Yes.
Colonel Rice.
Yes.
All right, good workaround to our.
One thing I just want to say, we only got this the 17th of April, so I mean, we get it, we try to process it as fast as we can, so it's not sitting around and waiting,
Thank you.
so just to say that.
That's a good thing to say.
Thank you for your hard work.
Next, we will advance to ordinance 2026-16. This deals with something that was spoken to in the comments and was advanced by our service department. Police Chief, do you want to speak to this, or do you want?
Yeah,
me to
where was that
comment?
problem? I'm curious.
That's one.
In terms of the parking code, I believe it was brought up by, the building department.
Yeah,
Paul spoke to it. There has been
Parking
complaints, because what happens is when you park on these soft surfaces on a regular basis, there's rutting that occurs and grass destroyed, puddling and all the rest of that. He wants the tool to be able to go and put somebody on notice that they need to not park their car on the grass. This is not for adjacent to the roadway. It's not about that. It's about driving on your grass.
Yeah, if people park in their front lawn.
And it will be, as he indicated, it will be complaint based. He's not
It's
gonna
a
be.
rather Mississippi thing to do.
Yeah, what
But
this is really pointed to, excuse me, just
Yeah.
give me 1 second, I'll turn back to you, Mr. Schmidt. But it's, the problem that the building official has faced is some, and it's not widespread at all. We're talking about just a couple of situations, but they repeat over time. There've been 2 current ones, but it's not the first time. Some residents who've decided to use their front lawns as parking areas permanently. Oftentimes, it's a truck that they own, that they put on their lawn, and it just never goes away. And the
He
neighbors
talked to me about
complain.
one on
and-
Brainerd, it was a guy's business. He had 2 or 3 panel trucks and that's where he parked.
I think that was perhaps one of the recent situations.
Yeah.
And the building department goes out and speaks to these people in a very polite, positive way and says, you know, we have complaints. You shouldn't be parking here. You can't park here. And he doesn't really have an ordinance to put muscle behind and saying, move your truck. You can't park it in your front yard.
Should it be adjusted to address Mr. Ferguson's concerns though? Is that?
Well, I think this is on first reading. It has to be referred to the planning commission.
Okay.
And I think with those comments, we're going to make sure that it addresses that situation. It's not intended to, stop people who, my driveway's being repaved, I got to park on my lawn or someplace for the day. It's not supposed to deal with those, temporary, accommodations that
residents need to make for work going on at their house or anything else like that. That's not the purpose of the ordinance, and we'll make sure that it reflects that.
Was habitual use of front lawn property for parking, not just tree lawn temporarily.
Mr. Schmidt, I kind of did go back to you and I
Yeah,
apologize.
no, it's, good, I wanted to hear, this is exactly the sort of thing I want to hear, because when I first read this, like, where is this coming from? And the other thing is that it is coming off too broad sweeping, as far as I'm concerned. So, I want, so I'm soon gonna have 4 drivers in my household and 4 cars, and if I decide I want to keep one of the cars off of the apron in the backyard, I don't see why I shouldn't be able to keep the car off the apron in the backyard. So,
I guess that's the conversation we're gonna have here at council.
so it is.
Well, and also I think it will be going to the planning commission, and all of this input is good.
Right, so right now, when I read it, it is just way too broad sweeping. And
I
if
get what you're saying.
I have to, let me know, I'll come to the planning commission, maybe I can help shape it, but it is, I do not like it the way it is right now.
Yeah, well, I think it can be. I understand what the frustration of the building and department and the police are to try to, enforce in the front of the house. It's apparent to all the neighbors situation is. And we'll just have to work at trying to tune it up so it's appropriate.
Procedurally, why is the planning commission not doing this first and then bringing it to the council?
It's the process that Ohio follows, that you have first reading in front of council, so council's aware of it. It goes to planning commission, it comes back, and a public hearing is set by council for the.
I mean, this is right in the planning commission's bailiwick. This is what they should be doing.
It's just a procedure that's generally followed in Ohio.
Yes,
I'm glad that I know,
I think it's
so now I can know there's a planning commission.
So noted. You are on the record.
But one other question I have for clarity, so this seems to be like related to somebody running a business out of their house. And so isn't really the ordinance more about that, about putting your commercial vehicles in the front of the house or parking your commercial vehicles at your residence? Isn't that really what the issue is? Not so much that people are parking.
I'm trying to remember the 2 situations that I'm currently aware of. One of them may be in that lane. Another one was more.
We have the commercial vehicle ordinance,
We have a commercial vehicle ordinance that situation could and I think was partially addressed. The other one, I think it was more. Is that on Pepper Creek, sir?
There was one at Shaker too. If I may just briefly, without going too deep into this, it is a problem to park a car on the lawn. Because what happens, it's great in the summertime, but the rest of the year, it's not great, and you're doing earth disturbing activities, you're turfing the lawn potentially. It's rainy, it's muddy, and then all this stuff comes dragging out into the street. That is a problem, that is a concern for the city as far as being able to enforce stormwater ordinances. And to take it to the extreme, somebody parks 5 cars in the front lawn and they all pull out in the morning and there's this big track of mud and that's a problem. So that's why cars typically need to be placed on a hard surface. See, it's not temporary, obviously occasionally somebody's getting a driveway seal coated and they park the car on the lawn for that day or week, but it's not, it's an environmental issue. It's more than just cosmetic or being too strict. It is a problem, and most towns want vehicles to be parked on a hard surface.
But so, or well, not to beat a dead horse, but I guess, so some sort of temporary allowance. I saw someone once very effectively, there was a death in the family, a lot of people over, and they turned their front lawn
that would be a
into a
temporary.
very well-organized parking lot. I was very, very impressed because everybody had the ability to get out without anybody else having to move the car.
Yeah.
But it was dry, it was summer, and so, yeah.
Yeah, I think, and
Yeah.
I'll speak for, I don't know if this happens, but I'm sure for the police department, occasionally somebody's getting a driveway ripped out, they want to know if they can park on the street overnight and that type of
Yeah.
thing. I'm sure you take those types of requests all the time.
You can always speak for me then.
Okay.
You agree.
So I think there are ways to do that, those are very short term. It's the other thing, from a safety standpoint, somebody decides, well, not only do I like to park my car in my front lawn, I kind of want to park it pretty close to the street. And you get sight distance issues, they're trying to pull out right away. It becomes a problem if you don't have regulation.
And often you'll have a crazy Jerry who's putting a for sale sign on it. And then because they have a good location, they'll do, so sometimes that happens as well.
Yes, corner lots are notorious.
Notorious.
And he is an engineer stamp, so we have to believe everything.
I look forward to seeing a refined version.
So
Yes, sir.
procedurally, this goes to planning, and then it comes back to council?
Good. All righty, we will move on to the mayor's comments. Thank you to those who could join last week at the State of the City address. Thank you again to the Park Synagogue for making their space available. It was generous and very well regarded by everyone who came. We had the best turnout we've had in years at the State of the City. There were close to 100 people there in person. There were 10 top tables, and they were filled. We had 60 people viewing during the speech. Thank you to Ms. Swords for arranging the video streaming of that. That was very beneficial. That is posted on our website for any residents to click in. We have already had, I think it was close to 300, almost 360 views, just under that, I think, of people, which is remarkable. I think that many people have taken the opportunity to go to the site and view it. It's probably one of the larger viewings of one of our YouTube postings, so that's terrific. Just to catch council up, I've been in communication with Power a Clean Future, those folks who we passed a resolution for. Jackie has also been engaged with them. They are coming to, we're going to set up some time for them to come in and meet and try to program some things. I'll keep in consideration. Again, I don't know what the programming is yet, so I'm not going to have the Boy Scouts involved. But we will take a look at what some of the initiatives that they can help us with. I think they do some things that I think are first steps when they do energy audits and make suggestions as to where they can. I think their grant access for us and suggestions are going to be very, I'm hoping that will be one of the more valuable tools that they provide to us. This Saturday from 1 to 3 o'clock, we have the Trails ride, which is turned out to be a pretty big deal. We are hosting it. We were asked to host it by the Cuyahoga County Planning Commission, which we're proud to do. It is being co-hosted by neighbors, both Beechwood and Shaker Heights. Both their mayors will be there. The county executive will be here to address things. Maybe some state representatives of our congressional office, and they are expecting anywhere from 100 to 150 riders probably who are coming from all over the county. I understand some people put their bike on rapid and take it to the end of the Green Road and ride over here. So it should be a very nice event. It's being, at my urging, the organization has booked Geraci's Restaurant to provide food for it, and it's going to be very nice.
Do you have to register for that?
No, you just show up.
That's what I thought. Are you riding?
I'm gonna walk or ride. I haven't decided.
Yeah, there are three options for people. They can walk. There's a short ride that goes up our Gates Mills Trail and back, and there is a longer ride that will head west down the Beechwood through Shaker Heights, double back, and then extend out our Gates Mills path. So it's available for riders or walkers of any level, and it should be a very nice event. And thank you to County Planning for thinking of us to host this. I think that's. Will we have any other events before? Oh, it'll be coming up. We have on May 18th, our health fair coming up. And that'll be back here in Pepper Pike Park. We haven't done one since prior to COVID. And we were doing them every off year back then, every 3 years. And they were very well attended and they were successful. So I think there's probably a lot of pent-up need that we should get a nice crowd for that too. And we'll talk about other events as they come closer in time. Council, do you have any comments? Or,
Yeah. Look forward to riding Saturday and see Eric out there. Hopefully you won't fall over this time.
Maybe I won't fall under it.
you gonna be wearing tight spandex for this?
I will. I'll be advertising for the Marine Corps and recruiting all at the same time like I usually do. Hey, today is Earth Day, so just think about some of the things we've been working on are super exciting, and the city's really moving in a great direction for sustainability and being a better partner with our environment. Rust Belt Riders, I hope that we move out with them. Jim, one of the things we talked about with the geothermal and the solar is we can make it work money-wise. We could become a net zero campus, which is super exciting as well. So a lot of great things. So maybe next year's Earth Day, we can really be hitting more than singles and working with a lot of partners and getting a lot of time. So it's pretty exciting.
No, it is we're driving the ball.
Yes.
Like that. It's very good.
Absolutely. That's all I have.
All right, anyone else? All right, I think we are done then, and we stand adjourned.
Somebody goes to jail.
He had his toe clips in.
Oh, no.